Hello and welcome back to my podcast. Today we have some special guests again, as usual. We are in a different setting. Instead of at a recording studio, we are doing this over different states in the United States. I have two special guests that I would love to introduce, getting their name, their age, and a little bit about them.
Um, I guess I'll go first. Hi, I am Olivia. I'm 24. I am from Texas. And my background in this, I've experienced violence and um like sexual violence, just not like in a relationship.
All right, and
Hi,
your
I'm Zerelda.
pronouns.
Oh,
Huh?
Sorry, and your pronouns. I
Oh
forgot to
yes, she,
add
her.
that.
I forgot about
Perfect. No, you're
that.
good. I forgot to add that too. And for you, Zeralda.
I am Zerelda. I am a she, her, 52 years old in Oregon. I have experienced domestic violence as well as supported other family members and friends who have.
Yeah. And to get the elephant out of the way, yes, we all look similar. We could all be family members here, but I have my god sister here for this, and as well as my mother. So it's kind of just going to be really fun as girls just talking. Um, and a little segue in. We are talking about violence against women in this podcast. Viewer discretion advised. We do talk about some things that are a little hard for people that haven't fully healed from domestic violence, sexual assault, in any stance, whether that's in a relationship, out of a relationship. Please go find some help if you are feeling like you need to talk to somebody. There is wide variety of places that you can reach out to that are free. My go-to is Seven Cups, sevencups.com. It is worldwide, so please get help. All right. So, ladies, I just wanted to start off by one of the hardest questions that could be hard to some to talk about is what is your knowledge about like violence against women before our discussion took place, before the materials that I sent you? What was your knowledge?
Well, I feel like growing up, just in general, I think I've always been raised to just know about violence against women and that it's kind of expected. Like, if you are a woman, it's going to happen at least once in your life.
Mm.
And I feel as though that has played out to be true in my life. Um, Pretty much everyone I know has been in like in a domestic violence situation or has just been assaulted by like somebody that they might know or like don't know. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
My,
And for you?
my knowledge was, I was raised to know that domestic violence is out there and the different types of violence that can occur were out there. Um, we were not given all of the data and all the information that children are given today and taught today. If it happened, it was brushed under a rug.
Right.
Um, it wasn't something that was talked about very often, and and if you said it, it was taboo. So there was a lot that went on in when I was younger in regards to it.
Yeah. My understanding is with like the older generations is that um it almost was like expected in your home sometimes that, it's like just take it. In some cases it's just the man's handling the woman, take care of your woman type of situation, especially in the 1990s, 80s, 70s, 60s. That was very much the quota. At least that's my understanding. I was born in 2000. So, um, is that true? Is that not true?
I don't know that that's 100% true. I do know that, of course, in some households, that's more true than others. Um, I know for many people that I grew up with, there was no violence of any sort in their homes. But of course, then there were the others that, yes, you had the man saying, I'm the man and I rule the roost.
Right.
And so, and in those cases, of course, there was a form of violence of some sort going on at that case or in that home. But I don't know that it was a majority. But of course, violence has probably been going on for centuries towards women, and it's just becoming more of something we can talk about now in a more
Mhm.
open way, and it's not considered as taboo any longer. And it's like with you doing your podcast, it's something that people are being encouraged to talk about, to reach out and get the help that you need so you can heal, whether or not you're turning the person in or you're doing anything that way, you still need to heal yourself.
Mm.
And I do appreciate that about what's going on in today's world and everything that's going on with the people today is that they are encouraging people to step forward, whether it's a male or a female, but
Yeah.
I know mostly females are the ones who are abused.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for all of that. I love it so much.
Right.
Um, I don't love that this is even something that we have to talk about. Um, it's quite unfortunate, but it is our reality of being human. That this happens. Um, I do want to say that this doesn't just happen to the United States, it happens everywhere. I had a friend on a podcast that got deleted, but I do want to shout her out that she was born and raised in South Africa, which is the rape capital of the world, or considered as such. Um, and in this capital of the world, they don't recognize rape until, or the government didn't really consider rape or kind of just brushed it under the rug until 2025. Literally last year, did they finally start making a movement, and the government finally started recognizing the millions, not just thousands, not just hundreds, millions of women that get raped every single day in South Africa.
Mm.
Um, they held a funeral, um, and this funeral was just absolutely beautiful. And I recommend anybody to look into this a little bit more. But they covered the casket with beads, and the beads actually extended. They had to get an extra large casket, extra tall casket, and that still didn't really cover how many were affected that year, even. But each bead represented a woman that was raped. And there was nobody inside except for pictures of those victims.
Mm.
And it was held, and government officials actually did come to that funeral. And that's when they started recognizing just how drastic this is and how much change needs to happen. But this just happened in 2025. So they have a very long way to not make this such a everyday occurrence. My friend knew about this, knew about the word rape, knew about the context of it by the age of 6. She was not raped herself. She disclosed that herself, but she knew of it by the age of 6.
Mm.
And it's quite unfortunate. But um, we are in the month of recognizing women, recognizing violence, recognizing domestic violence, as we are continuing doing this. I wanted to segment that one into hopefully sharing my screen with doing a side by side here. let's talk about our quiz, our domestic violence quiz that we all took. I had them look into what domestic violence is and what knowledge they had. Um, and let's talk about it. So this is the quiz. Anybody and everybody that is watching this right now can take this quiz as we go along, but just like looking at it. IPV means intimate partner violence. So that could be anything and everything. So if you see IPV, like in question one, that is what that means. All right. So let's talk about those scores. I know we were talking about it a little bit off camera, but let's talk.
Yeah, if this was an actual grade, I would have failed. So,
I would have passed, but definitely didn't get 100.
What was the most shocking thing about these questions and the answers that were given?
um,
I I can say that number 5 was my most shocking question. It of course, how many survivors delay leaving an abusive relationship because they're afraid of being separated from their pets? Now, me having my daughter, I do not believe that my daughter would leave her love of her life, my grandpuppy, behind because she's being abused. And so I thought the number would be higher. So I actually said 1 in 10, but in reality, I know what the answer is. I don't know if you want us to give that right now, but that was my most shocking. It's because I do know that people love their animals just as much as they love a child. And I couldn't even imagine them
I mean,
leaving
she's
it. So that's why I was so high on mine.
I mean, she's a fur baby. She's my baby. She's just has fur and 4 legs.
Absolutely. So I rated that one high. I went with C on my answer, and it definitely was not C.
yeah, I don't know. I know I'm personally super attached to my cats. So if I was in a relationship that was abusive, I don't think I could leave my cats. I think I would also worry too if they would hurt the cats to get back at me.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that's probably a big worry that a lot of survivors face is like, what to what extent will they go to hurt me, you know? But I know personally what I found the most shocking was number 6 about the economic impact that IPV has on the US.
Mm.
I guess 3.6 billion. I'm quite curious, like how they were able to figure out all these numbers because I'm just curious how they like really like especially like with medical costs and missing classes or work, like how is it classified as, oh, this is because
Well, yeah, how did they average out the missing work stuff? Because I know I make a different amount than either of you guys make at your jobs and other people that I know. So I mean, we all make different. So how did they average that out and say, well, this is the average amount that someone is missing out on? Those were some of the things that drew me to the wow, that's a different number than I expected to. I missed that one as well.
Yeah. Um, I can't speak for this one in particular, but as somebody that uh has worked with like the IRB, which is um our way of doing like surveys with like social work, we have a wide, vast majority that we were able to like do surveys on just in Cache County and learn more about um, adolescent childhood traumas and things like that. And one of our questions in that survey was talking about income, talking about household income as well as individual income. And so I would assume that there was some type of like survey or some type of data that they were able to collect that was able to like decipher a little bit. Um, but yeah, I 100% understand what you're talking about because it's a lot. So these are some of the answers that were given. Um, my not shocked, but shocked was the data of number one, which is what is the percentage of population that it experienced IPV in their lifetime, which is 29%. I know this data is a little bit outdated. However, even that is just sad, really. It indicates, as it says, it indicates that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced either physical violence, rape, or stalking by an intimate partner. That's not easy if you think about how many people we have here in the United States. Anywhere, there's a lot of people. So 1 in 3. Um, I know in particular in our 3 people, I know I have been a victim. Um, so it's just quite interesting to see the statistics in all of this. I'm gonna scroll down so
Well,
that
just to
those
make
that
that
are,
a little bit more for you, all three of us have. So,
yeah, that's even more insane. But taking a little time for you guys that are viewing to see all of the answers. And you're welcome to pause the video whenever you want because this is recorded. Um, but feel free to educate yourself a little bit more. I wanted to also talk about just intersectionality, um, which, if you don't know what that means like race, age, gender, religious preferences. That's the scope of intersectionality. Um, so what do you think intersectionality contributes to violence against women?
Um, well, I love true crime podcasts and things like that. Like I listen to that pretty much every day. And I will say that from the podcast that I've heard, most women that are abused are marginalized women. So this is going to be women of color, women of marginalized religions, uh, women that maybe don't speak the language of the country and that are easily manipulated. I think it has a big thing. Intersectionality has a big influence of on women being abused or like the potential of a woman being abused.
100% agree on that. And would you like to add anything?
ditto.
And
No,
I know she
100%.
kind of wrapped that up in like a
Yeah,
beautiful
100%.
bow.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, and just adding on to like trans women as well have experienced a lot of violence, which is another community. Like the LGBT community in general
Mhm.
experiences a lot of domestic violence and abuse. And so I think that's another thing to look at and talk about as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back. We did a short little break there after talking about intersectionality, and now we're back. Welcome back. All right, so we are now going to be talking more in depth, a little bit more of the harder stuff. So again, this is a viewer discretion advised. We are going to be talking about domestic violence, what that looks like, signs that you may need to be looking out for. If you're in a relationship right now and you're questioning if this is a abusive relationship, um, hopefully I will provide you with some type of answer or something to look into more. We are also going to talk about a TED Talk as well as finishing out with our own stories. So if any of this is a little triggering for you, please do not make yourself uncomfortable and continue watching. Thank you. All right. So, I took the liberty to put together a document. Now, this document is out there. It is a website that I kind of just put together a bunch of things that is said on the website. Um, for the sake of this podcast, I didn't want to just keep going back and forth on the website itself. Let's pull that up, shall we? Let's do it side by side. Alrighty. So this documentation, like I said, is going to be talking about types of abuse, signs of abuse, um, some things that you just might need to look at and see if that's something that you've experienced. The website is up at the top here. It's the hotline .org/resources. And this one specifically is /types of abuse. All right, so let's get into it. So some of the common signs of abuse that you might see in a partner. Now, this could be something that you see after you've been in a relationship for a while. We all know that honeymoon phase where we're just, having sunshines and rainbows and lollipops and just having a grand old time. But if you start seeing any of these signs, this might be something that you might need to like rethink. So, this can be from just insulting, demeaning, or shaming you, especially in front of other people. You are not the person's laughter bag, okay? You're not supposed to be there to be the punching bag for that person. You should be treated with respect, always and ever. Um, Another one is telling you that you can never do anything right. Now, this one's a really hard one, especially when there's fits of anger. But if this is a constant thing, and I want you guys to be aware that some of these things could just be out of fit. We get arguments, we have arguments with our significant others. It's when this is a constant thing and becomes to the point where the threshold is just too much.
Like
All
it's a
right.
staple in the relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When it becomes I know this is coming, right? This becomes a pattern, not just a one-off, not just, you get what I mean.
Hmm.
Um, what are some of these that you see as a sign that you wouldn't recognize as a sign?
I need to get closer. It's really small for me.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I don't know how to fix it on my end.
Okay. So we have telling you that you never do anything right, showing extreme jealousy of your friends or time spent away from them, preventing or discouraging you from spending time with others, particularly friends, family members, or peers, insulting, demeaning, or shaming you, especially in front of other people, preventing you from making your own decisions, including work and school attending, scrolling controlling finances in the household without discussion, such as taking your money or refusing to provide money for necessary expenses. Pressuring you to have sex or perform sexual acts you're not comfortable with. Pressuring you to use drugs or alcohol. Intimidating you through threatening looks or actions. Insulting your parents or threatening to harm or take away your children or pets. Intimidating you with weapons like guns, knives, bats, or mace, And last one, destroying your belongings or your home.
And what was your question again?
What signs would you think, like, if it happened to you, you wouldn't immediately see, oh, this is abuse. This is just
Mm.
kind of like those that are in disguise.
Um,
Intimidating you through threatening looks or actions.
yeah.
Mm.
I also feel like one I probably wouldn't necessarily see immediately is probably like insulting or demeaning because if they're like trying to be jokey, laughy about it, I'd be like, oh, like maybe they didn't mean it, you know, like maybe they were just being funny and they didn't like I'm being too sensitive, you know?
Oh,
Yep.
ooh, you said the right word. I'm being too sensitive. That is one of the biggest things. I'm so glad you said that. This was not planned, but this is one of the biggest things with violence against women and not getting taken seriously is, oh, you're just too emotional. Oh, you're too sensitive. It's always comes back to our feelings are not valid because
Mhm.
of one thing or another that deals with us being women and having emotions, having hormones, having the ability to feel. Oh, wait, somebody else has feelings. That would be men. They
Yeah, I was
have
gonna say men
feelings.
have hormones too.
Yeah, testosterone.
Yes.
So this doesn't just apply to just women, but also men. And I want to make that very clear. This is also kind of like a little plug, if you will, that my next podcast will be about manhood and social changes. So if you're wanting to know more about that, that would be in my next podcast. Um, but for now, we're just talking about women. All right. So I wanted to go more in depth of what types of abuse you could see. Now, we always think physical abuse as soon as we hear abuse, right? We're also thinking maybe sexual abuse. That's been talked quite frequently. Emotional abuse, I would say, is like third in line to be talked about, not talked about as much as physical or sexual abuse, but it's still up there. But have you really heard of any other signs of abuse other than those three?
Financial abuse.
That is one of our topics. Yeah, financial abuse is actually a big one too. But I wanted to go in depth on some of these. Um, like physical abuse, it is important. Yes, it is talked about a lot, and so some of these things don't really seem too shocking at this moment because, like I said, it's been talked about. But I listed, uh, thanks to my website, listed some of the things that you could look out for physical abuse, whether that's pinching, whether that's slapping, biting, um, forbidding you or preventing you to eat or sleep. That one's that's not talked about a lot is preventing or forbidding you to eat. Um, Again, force you to use drugs or alcohol, especially if you have a history of substance abuse. I myself had a relationship where I was 5 years sober and proud of it and happy about it. But he didn't really like that. So it ended up with me starting to drink again. And it's a current battle still, but that was definitely one that I didn't really recognize at the very beginning. It's just like, this is abusive. I just thought, whatever. Um, so I didn't think it would be put as a physical category of abuse, but it definitely is. We have emotional abuse. This includes non-physical behaviors that are meant to control, isolate, or frighten someone. Again, you may be in an emotionally or verbally abusive relationship. Um, if these pertain to you, like calling you names, insulting you, constantly criticizing you, acting jealous or possessive, and refusing to trust you, isolating you from family, friends, or other people in your life because it makes someone easier to control. Isolating was a big thing for my domestic violence. Um, Turned into he was the only thing that I felt comfortable, turned all of my friends against me behind my back, and I didn't even know it. So it was really, really much of a struggle for me. Um, to then find out that he was lying the whole time and they still loved me. Um, but some of these other ones, we have this new word that's been spreading around, which is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse. So, um, I wanted I wanted to take this segment of our podcast to just highlight all of these because, again, some of these just don't seem like in your face. They're hidden. Um, and that's what I experienced was very hidden um, abuses that I didn't realize was happening until I was in it too late and too long. And um, wasn't until I had friends and family that was like, you know, you're in that was an abusive relationship. Did I really come to terms that that was abuse? Um, which is why I'm taking so long for this segment, so that you guys can also recognize it and yourself or others, other friends that or family that you have. These are all very important for somebody's mental health. Now, sexual abuse. Um, that could be from actually engaging in sexual activities to making them dress in a sexual way that you are uncomfortable with. The biggest thing, no is no. No is a sentence. So any of these things, if you don't want to dress productively and just want to be modest, no is no. That is considered a sexual abuse. Um, yeah. Any thoughts on any of these?
Um, I think one of like personally like my first encounters of sexual abuse was like sexual coercion.
Mhm.
And it even started off with like something as simple as a kiss. Like my very first kiss was from, and Abby will probably remember this guy, but was literally, I was a freshman and this guy was a senior, and all year long he begged me, begged me, begged me. And eventually I was like, okay, fine. Even though I'd said no all year long, I eventually was just like, sure. He was like, oh, I'm going into the military and like, I don't know what could happen and like I'll never get to see you again and it's gonna be the worst regret of my whole life. And like it it's so interesting that like back then I felt so bad for him and I was like, oh, I'm the bad person because look how put out he is by me saying no.
Yeah.
But really he was a jerk and was coercing a 14-year-old girl into kissing him when he was 18 years old. Like it's just crazy to me. So hearing like talking about some of these like signs,
Mhm.
um, and like the no as the full sentence, it really resonates with me.
Thank you for sharing. And I do remember that guy, and I wish I could go back and punch him. Violence against men, no. On the next topic, no. All right. As you were saying, I did bring up the sexual coercion for those viewing of what that entails, what that means. Um, it's lies. It's um, it's like the biggest form of peer pressure. Um, I wanted to also highlight, as these are some of the things that can occur. Um, this one in particular, um, which was also just talked about, continuing to pressure you after you say no or intimidating you into fearing what will happen if you say no. The end. It is something that happens a lot, a lot more than you would actually think of just the peer pressure. When you want to say no to somebody, even if it is a kiss, that doesn't mean that you should just give in because it's not okay. And it's not okay to peer pressure anybody either. Mom, would you like to say anything?
You guys are doing fantastic. No. No, I think that that happens more often than not. And um, I don't know if it's by example that the young men today saw it in their one or both of their parents at one point in time. So they learn by example, or if it's something they've learned, or is it a challenge? Hey, I dare you to do this, or it's like that Tide Pod stupid stuff.
Mm.
It's just like, is it really needing to be done? But I do believe that that is the way that a majority of this abuse starts
Mm.
is is by the same stuff that Olivia had experienced. It's like, wear them down until they finally say yes. Say
Hmm.
no for an entire school year, and finally you throw in some of the last stuff. And when you start playing with someone's heart, of course you're going to dig in and you're going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Um, I know that military families and such hit hard for all three of us, whether we have wanted to join ourselves or have had family members. And definitely, we all have friends that have been in military, and some of them have passed away. And that's what you have in the back of your head. Well, what if this person goes? And what if, and Olivia, I apologize, but I'm using your example. But what if he goes away and he was the guy that I was supposed to be with in my life? That's what we always dream of, is having
Yeah.
that special someone that we met in high school and we got to live forever and, live happily forever after with that guy that we met from high school.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I can see where he used that against you.
Mhm.
And was it right? No, not in any way, shape, or form. But he used what he knew about you and your love of the military and for the I'll just say the armed forces. And he used it against you, and it was 100% wrong. But does he even understand to this day that what he had done was wrong? Probably not.
And sometimes I wonder about that because you brought up how like did they learn about it from their parents? And I wonder if most of this generation is learning it from online.
True.
There's a lot of men online that do have podcasts that are teaching bo young boys like how to be an alpha male. And it's all about, making women submissive to you and trampling on them. And you should have multiple women. And,
Yep.
your opinions matter more than the woman does. And this is the kind of thing that they're getting on their social media. And there's no one moderating it, there's no one filtering it out and making sure that all the good things are going to the young kids these days. So,
Yeah. Social media is a huge, like, liability in a way. Like, a lot of things have, I think the generations kind of, the reason why they plummeted and are not doing as great as they were in the previous generations is because of social media and how accessible it is to say anything on the social media. I mean, we're literally doing it right now, posting this on YouTube, and anybody and everybody can post on YouTube. I'm just a normal 25-year-old that is just doing this for fun, and like somebody else could be doing this and spreading other information. Luckily, I'm using this platform to like educate people more and be an advocate, but there's others that, like you said, are doing a podcast or some other type of media that people will grab as like Bible and use it when they probably shouldn't, or they don't know enough information to understand that that was a form of sexual coercion, or that it's a financial abuse when you're holding somebody's account hostage, pretty much. Or, you're living with somebody and you're refusing to work or contribute to the household.
Hmm.
Um, we're in a day and age that a lot of people don't want to work anymore. This could be a form of financial abuse, is just leeching off of somebody and
Oh,
calling it love.
I have a question actually.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like this is mostly talked about like maybe in reality TV or in movies and stuff. I actually have never seen this in real life, but I'm sure it's existed. Would baby trapping be considered a form of financial abuse? Like getting pregnant on purpose and making somebody like be a part of your life? Is this all in here? Oh, well, there we go. I
I
segued that on purpose.
This is not scripted. This is not scripted whatsoever. Um, but it can be a form of reproductive coercion.
Perfect.
Um, getting somebody pregnant on purpose so that you have a liability. Um, I know also in our generation is our generation has the most abortions. Um, and I wonder if some of these things are not just because somebody is not using birth control measurements, but instead are having reproductive coercion instead.
I wouldn't
Like
be shocked.
the simplest thing of just a guy refusing to wear a condom.
Well,
Nah,
sometimes a girl is coercion doing this more towards a guy. I
yeah.
mean, how many times do you watch it in movies and things these days where the girl tells him, "Well, I'm pregnant," and it's to trap him.
Hmm.
It's an entrapment,
Yeah.
and they do it on purpose. They may not be pregnant yet, or then they lie later and say, "Oh, I had a miscarriage."
Hmm.
But it's definitely a form that can be had.
Yeah. This is a sign of abuse. It might not say, abuse right on the label, but it's a coercion. It's an abusive relationship holding somebody liable for something that could have just been your responsibility in the first place, like taking birth control. Or, there's even things like there's all sorts of I'm not going to go into all the sex ed education over here, but um there's so many different types of ways that not you don't have to always wear a condom. I know like that's one of the biggest
Contraception
things.
stuff is
Yeah,
huge these days. There's so many things.
so many things. So make sure that you're both taking care of yourselves. So you don't have to deal with A, an abortion, or B, living with somebody that has pressured you into staying because of a child is coming. Um, it's not fair. It really isn't.
Um,
Um,
sorry, I just thought of this thing with the reproductive coercion, but it reminds me of this case. I think of a gynecologist, a male gynecologist, and he impregnated a bunch of women that were getting artificially inseminated, and he had like
Mhm.
I think like over at least over 50 kids. I think it was like
Yeah.
100 plus, but I can't remember. Um, and like he didn't have any relationship with the kids, but I feel like with the definition provided, this is still like this would be considered reproductive coercions as well because they're not having choice over who they're having a child with.
Yeah.
It's just it's fascinating to me how there's so many different ways you can be abused. Like there's really just endless amounts.
Oh yeah. Um, there's even stalking as is considered a sign of abuse. Leaving unwanted items, showing up on at your home, workplace, unannounced, uninvited, texting unwanted uh, messages, letters, emails, um, even damaging your car, home, property, waiting for you outside of places. Hiring a private investigator is considered stalking as well. Um, and then lastly, what I wanted to talk about. Yes, there is the technological abuse as well, such as who are you texting? You're not supposed to text those people. It kind of um, goes along the side of like isolation. You can't follow all of these accounts because they're women. Um, you can't follow all
Does,
these accounts because they're men.
does cyberbullying fall under that category?
I would say so, especially if it's a relationship. That would be um,
Yeah.
for
Maybe
sure.
they're doing that type of stuff out in the world where um, look at my woman or look what she's done type thing where they're,
Mhm.
I'm going to say, shaming them via the internet
Mm.
and via something that they're putting out there for the world to see.
Right. Especially that example, 100% that's a form of abuse and technological abuse as that.
Mm.
Um, but lastly is spiritual abuse. It's not talked about often, but there's um, relationships where religion is a part of somebody's life and not part of another, or different religions in itself. There's ridicule, you could get ridiculed, you could manipulate. There's all sorts of different things that can come into a spiritual abuse. So just be mindful of that. Now we're gonna close up. I'm gonna stop sharing. Bye. Now we're back into full screen. I wanted to talk about if you can give like 3, 4 minutes, Mom, and talk about we've kind of talked about ours, Olivia and I would love for you to share a little bit about yours, your experience.
Well, I can say that I'm grateful that I have not been sexually abused in any way. Um, I have definitely gotten the cream of the crop with the husband that I have. Married 32 years, this actually 33 years this year, and it'll be it's been amazing. So I had some boyfriends in the past that weren't ideal, but I didn't let any of it get to a sexual abuse state.
Hmm.
Um, Luckily, I did have two parents who taught me well, and I was very much um, appreciative of the things that they were able to teach me, even though a lot of talk about sexual things were kind of taboo as I was growing up. But I did have some physical abuse and emotional abuse from friends and family as I was growing up. Um, some of it still hurts me to the core today, but I don't let it define me. Um, it makes me stronger. It makes me, I feel like it has made me a better mom and wife and friend because I have experienced it and it's not something I ever want someone else to experience in their lives. And so I have tried to use it as a positive in my life to help others and to let others know that it's not okay. And some people like myself, I don't want to talk to a therapist or someone else about my problems. Um, but some people do and they need it. And I encourage it. Um, and I hope that someone can find the help that they need in their life to get through whatever um, abuse that they have received. As you saw, so many variations of abuse. Um, I'd never even thought about spiritual abuse. That is something that has shocked. That's the one thing I'm going to say has shocked me about this whole podcast is spiritual abuse. I've known about all the others. I can honestly say that every single one of those I have heard about until you got to spiritual abuse. And that was not even something I had even thought of.
Mhm. It's amazing in the most saddest way of how many different ways that you can harm somebody that you love. And just being mindful, if you're somebody that truly um, have seen what you've seen on this podcast and you're like, I've done that, and not even realize that it's a form of abuse, like you could start change now. Because sometimes it is something that you're just used to. You've seen it in your home and you just didn't know that that was something that was hindering you thought it was just out of love because that's what happened to you, you know? Um, so
Yeah.
always self-aware, be self-aware of yourself, self-assess your own things and how you're treating your loved ones. Um, we got 3 minutes left, so I want to close out, but I want to give space for saying thank you for both of you for sharing things that have happened to you. I know this is a hard topic for a lot of people, um, and even the smallest things against, like violence against women, should matter. Whether it's small or big, everything matters because it's your story and your journey.
Mhm.
Um, we all get affected in different ways. Somebody's trauma could be somebody else's, like, that's another Tuesday.
Yeah.
So please, thank you so much for coming in here and talking to me from different parts of the United States. And I'm going to close out by saying thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next podcast.